You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your health care? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their health care. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your health care, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your health care while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
Oh, let me tell you something. I am so sick of Washington and all its works, all them politicians down there and them congressmen. I'll bet you won't find none of them congressmen signing down their electric blankets tonight. Which if they did, their secretaries would get up and go home.
We gotta do something. Absolutely. You know what we gotta do? Toga party.
Toga! 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 Toga!
I want you to kill every golfer on the course.
Check me if I'm wrong, Sandy, but if I kill all the golfers, they're gonna lock me up and throw away the key.
Well, all right. It's Friday night, which means it's time for Robinson and Wright. That's right. Well, it's actually been a while since you guys have heard me on this show. You've heard Dan once or twice without me. Football has been crazy. My son has made it to the semifinals. Luckily, for the next 2 weeks, provided that everything goes as planned tomorrow night, the games will be on Saturday night, so it will not impact the show for the remainder of the season, however long it may be. Please, God, let my boys' team take state. Just saying. But anyway, so it's been a while since I've been here. I know Dan has done what he could to hold down the fort. There's been a couple of times where he was like, I was going to try to do it, but then he got sick. So, yeah. You may notice his voice is a bit huskier than usual. It's not because he's been crying. It's because he's been sick. But anyway, hey, Dan, it's been a while since we've actually talked on the air. So how have you been, sir? What's going on?
I've been all right. Like you said, sick and working a lot. But other than that, been all right. Did one show with Claude. That went well. He's a good dude. He seems to be getting the radio thing down, and that was a lot of fun. And to go back to our intro, you know, if Bill Murray killed all the golfers on the course and he was an illegal alien, I think he'd be okay.
Only in only in San Francisco, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, but here's my thing with all that, to be completely honest. And, you know, I know other people have said this around the same time that I said it, but I'm pretty sure we came up with the idea around the same time because I saw somebody had tweeted it after I said it on the air last night. After the OJ verdict and after this thing with this poor lady that was basically gunned down and this dude got off scot-free, I don't think California should be allowed to have jury trials anymore. I think everything should just be a judge trial and be done with it, because at least then maybe the rulings would make sense, because this is the craziest thing I think I've ever heard. So for those of you that have been living under a rock, let's do a bit of a recap. So there was an illegal alien who shot someone who was basically walking down a pier with her father. So because of the shooting, when the DA went to press charges, they actually threw pretty much everything they could at him, from first-degree murder to negligent homicide, illegal use of a firearm, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So the only thing the jury could find to convict him on was that, you know, as a felon, he shouldn't have had a firearm. So he was convicted of unlawful use of a firearm. Now, I want to clarify one thing real quick. The definition of second-degree manslaughter, which is basically that it is a murder committed without malice aforethought, which means there was no intent to kill anyone, but it still resulted in a homicide. This based on the forensic evidence, based on what we know from what has come out during the trial, that was the exact charge that should have stuck, and this city has failed this lady's poor family. And that is, I mean, at this point, with looking at, I mean, for those of you that are following along on one of the other ways that you listen to the show, you may not be able to see the title. The question that I've asked in the show title tonight, is America a failed state? Because you look at everything that's going on in D.C., you look at everything that's going on in crazy places like California. Does our government even work anymore? Our government's primary concern is supposed to be the welfare of its citizenry, and yet in places like San Francisco, they're more worried about whether or not they have people on... Uh-oh, I lost Dan. I was wondering what happened. Hang on a second, folks. We got technical difficulty, or he got mad because I wouldn't stop talking. Don't know which. Hang on. Okay, so while we... So yeah, now you guys see how the conference call thing works. When I'm the only one on the line, it kind of dies completely. So give me just a second. Let me get it pulled back up, and then we'll wait and see if he ever actually tries to rejoin. Because, yeah, that was fun. I don't know what happened to him. He just disappeared. So anyway, kind of lost my train of thought. Bear with me for a moment. Ha, he's back. Hang on. These are all the things you guys actually are not supposed to hear. This all usually happens when the show's
joining conference now.
Not going yet. Hey, welcome back.
Hey, thanks.
Why'd you hang up on me?
Well, let's ask the dog.
All right, so anyway, I completely lost my train of thought. So why don't you say something for a second so I can quit hyperventilating about the fact that all of a sudden my co-host was gone.
Well, here's what gets me, finding information out after the fact and after the trial. First of all, the judge would not allow the jury to know two things: the defendant's prior convictions for felonies and his immigration status. The jury wasn't allowed to know that. I mean, to be honest with you, how they found a jury that didn't know this already, I don't know. But apparently the jury who convicted the guy on illegal use of a firearm as a felon somehow was not allowed to know that he was a felon and that he was an illegal immigrant. How does that happen? I mean, how does the prosecution not instantly say, argue that, or argue against that? I really don't understand. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, there was more to this than just a gun went off and a woman was shot and killed. It was the fact that this guy was a 7-time convicted felon in a 3-strike state, which meant he should have been in prison for 25 to begin with. Second of all, he shouldn't have been in this country. He has been deported 5 times. He should not have even been here. Now, the argument of the defense was that it was an accident, that the gun accidentally went off. It accidentally went off 3 times. Now, that is almost impossible unless you're a total spaz to accidentally fire a gun 3 times. How do you accidentally fire a pistol 3 times? I mean, and his first statement to the police was he was shooting at a seal. So he was on the pier, apparently in public with a handgun, trying to shoot a seal.
Wait, aren't seals endangered species?
The gun accidentally went off.
But aren't seals endangered species? Should he have been shooting at one in the first place?
I don't think they're endangered species, but you'd think that progressives would be pretty pissed off at him for trying to kill an animal. They're obviously not pissed off that he killed a woman.
Well, apparently not.
But, seeing what people are saying, they're, defending this verdict, because they've got to defend their sanctuary cities. If they don't defend this verdict, they're not defending their sanctuary cities.
Well, I'm sorry, but in my professional opinion, there's no defense of sanctuary cities. As a matter of fact, I'm done with the political correctness all the way around. I'm done saying illegal immigrant. I'm just going back to saying illegal alien, because we've got to start calling things the way they are, because it's crazy. And what worries me is we're watching everything fall apart all around us. We're watching everything. Everything is under attack. Nothing matters anymore. Gender is fluid. It doesn't matter what equipment you're born with because it only matters how you feel. Everything has become relative. Now even murdering someone is apparently relative in the state of California because it wasn't really murder, but hey, he shouldn't have really had the gun, so we should at least get him for that. That's the best you can do. I mean, you're honestly, because I have not really been keeping up with things for about the last 2 weeks, to be honest, because in between football and everything else has been crazy. But then I had a death at the beginning of the Thanksgiving holiday, so I kind of unplugged from everything and went and hid under a rock for about 5 days. So you're telling me things about this that I didn't even know when Jen and I were talking about it last night. I had no idea that he was like a 7-time convicted felon. I knew that he was, somebody that had been back over our borders like 5 times illegally, but I didn't know that he was a 7-time convicted felon in a 3-strike state. So why the hell was he even on the streets anyway? I mean, they're not even enforcing their own laws. That's what I'm starting to have a problem with, because this is happening everywhere. It's a selective enforcement, selective, it doesn't matter what really happened because it only matters how we feel about what happened. And I'm so tired of it because everything is becoming relative. When everything becomes relative, then nothing truly matters anymore. And that's what we're starting to see, whether anyone wants to admit it or not, because nothing matters to anyone anymore. Look at all of these people in high places that are basically just doing whatever they want. Hell, Matt Lauer went to Staples and had a sleazy button installed in his office so he could lock people in without ever having to get up. So tell me what in the hell this country is coming to when we have people that are gunned down in the streets and they get away with it. We have people that have been assaulting people for decades. Everybody knew about it. Nobody said anything about it until the avalanche started. And you're telling me that we're okay? No, we're not okay. We're a rotting cesspool from the inside out, and it's time that we clean it out before we die. I don't know how much of this is going to be left by the time we finally get it all cleared up and figure out where the dead tissue is and cut it all away, but it's time for some drastic surgery around here, and I'm not even playing anymore. This is crazy. Everything in this country is falling apart, and we're all just sitting around going, hey, whatever. I got my 55-inch big screen TV. I can watch me some Snooki. I'm good.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I made a little analogy earlier today. If the tables were turned in San Francisco, okay, to picture. We even say a multiple conviction felon, and say that it was a white guy got an illegal immigrant, whether it was accidentally or whatever. The whole thing on to me, anybody, even if in that case, to me, yes, he should be. If he's a felon, shouldn't have had a gun, is firing it in public, same treatment, in my eyes, should be the same treatment. Even if it was an illegal immigrant, whoever it was, is a person that shouldn't have been shot, should not have been killed. But if the tables were turned, progressives in San Francisco would have had him convicted from the start. They would have been going off on the NRA. It's the NRA's fault he had the gun. But you don't hear any of that with this. They want to keep it as low key as possible. They want They want this guy to slide and slowly be whisked back out of the country again. Nice and quiet, just whisk him back out of the country.
You know,
to me, it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's an illegal immigrant, if it's a white straight guy, if it's a black guy. I don't care who it is. That should have never happened on that pier. That gun should have never been discharged on that pier, and he should be paying for it.
Well, you know,
I don't care who it is.
The people that I feel most sorry for is Steinle's family, because we have failed them as a nation. First of all, she should have been she should have been protected from this person, because he never should have been in our country to begin with. Second of all, the fact that he came in illegally and managed to commit 7 separate felonies and was still walking the streets, that's failure number 2. The fact that he managed to get a hold of a gun, even though he's a convicted felon, that's failure number 3. The fact that there was no way for us to keep her safe from this person is failure number 4. The fact that he is now basically going to get a slap on the wrist and be released again before we even basically bat an eyelash and she's permanently gone from the planet is failure number 5. And all of this is sickening to me. It is downright damn well sickening to me that we have a state like California that is basically just thumbing their nose at the rule of law. The cities do not have the authority by the Constitution of the United States of America to override immigration in this country, because immigration law by Constitution is determined by Congress. Powers not deemed to the Congress are deemed to the states, not vice versa. This is an overreach of authority. This is a blatant slap to the face of the rule of law, and I'm sick and tired of the different rules for different people. Justice is supposed to be blind. Justice is supposed to be fair. It's not supposed to have anything to do with whether you have no money, too much money, nowhere in the middle. It's none of that's supposed to matter. The simple fact of the matter is this man illegally came into this country. This man committed multiple crimes while he was in this country, managed to get a hold of a gun. And like you said, you know, as somebody that for 15 years carried a sidearm for a living, still has one because I have my concealed carry permit on a regular basis, for somebody to say I accidentally discharged my weapon 3 times. No, I mean there's no such thing as a bump stock for a pistol, so there's no way for you to basically. I mean each pull requires that you pull the trigger. So unless you have some sort of a palsy twitch and you pull the trigger once and your finger does it on its own voluntarily 2 more times, you can't accidentally fire a weapon 3 times. That is another piece of information that I have to admit that I did not know, because that wasn't anything that I could find last night. So the fact that he has discharged the weapon multiple times, and as you said, his initial story was, for some odd reason, he decided to start shooting at a seal on the pier. First of all, who the hell does that? It's a seal. What's it going to do?
Yeah, I mean, to add something you said when you were giving the reasons why her family why this country has failed her family is the next reason, which hasn't happened yet, is that instead of being put in jail, from what I'm understanding, is they're going to deport him again, which means he's going to be right back in San Francisco in 5 months, 4 months, however long it takes him to get back. He's going to be back. So there's the next failure, is he's going to be back. Instead of putting him in prison, where he should be, because he's got 7 felonies in a 3-strike state, they should just put him in prison. I don't care. That's money. That's money to me. That's tax money. I don't care if they spend it. Put him in prison, because if he's in prison, he's not going to hurt anybody else. He may hurt somebody in prison, but I mean, it's at least in prison. Don't deport him again. We've deported him 5 times.
I have a better idea.
Unless you can get a hold, if you can get a hold of the problem of people coming across the border and back across the border, fine, then deport him. Send him back to Mexico City or wherever he's from. Deport him. But if you're going to deport him after you've deported him 5 times, what's the point? You're just making him a free man again.
I have a better idea. I say we do a modified deporting, and we deport him to Syria. See how long it takes for him to get back.
Well, I saw a friend of ours said something today on Twitter that kind of made me think, that might be a good idea. Yeah, deport him. Send him back across the border, and then order in a drone strike.
You know, at this point, you know, and I joke about this a lot, but let's seriously talk about this for a second. With as much as, you know, the Mexican government, like, puts out all these Spanish pamphlets to tell people how to get over here, what's the quickest way to get across the border, what services you should apply for once you get here, and we keep saying we want to make everybody that comes here an American citizen so they can pay taxes. Why don't we just freaking annex Mexico and be done with it?
Huh?
Because
an awful lot of our manufacturing is already there.
Well, I mean, exactly. Look at the tax dollars we get back. I mean, you say it tongue in cheek, but you know, I'm at this point, I'm willing to trade. We can annex Mexico. We can let California secede. I'm pretty good with those choices.
Yeah, just replace California with Mexico. I mean, it's really no different.
You know, because, well, I mean, at least then we don't have to change the flag, you know. 50 is a nice, even round number. So if we, you know, let California do whatever California's going to do and we make Mexico the 50th state, I'm kind of okay with that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but then how do we keep Californians out?
That's what the wall's for, my friend. And just think, it would be a much smaller wall. It would be cheaper. But, you know, I mean, you know, talking about the border thing just for a second, you know, the funny thing is I was listening to John Guandolo today from Understanding the Threat, who I'm hoping, because in the next couple of weeks I plan on actually moving one of the shows I do to much earlier in the day, because I have tons of guests that want to come on, but none of them want to come on at 10 o'clock at night. So I keep trying to make time to record with them, and then it usually doesn't work. And they're like, you know, if you just do the show consistently earlier, we could plan around coming on. So he's one of the ones that I've been trying to get onto the show. So I'm hoping if I move that to an earlier time slot, he'll start maybe coming on every so often. But one of the things that he pointed out that nobody really talks about is, yes, the southern border is a mess, but the northern border is even worse. So it doesn't really do much good to block the northern border when really all they have to do is hop a plane to Canada and come back down pretty much unencumbered. So, I mean, we really need to start really thinking about how we're going to fix our immigration problem. But the first thing we've got to do is basically make states and cities understand that they cannot make their own immigration policy. I mean, I understand states trying to, like Arizona, when they were trying to build their border fence and doing all the things that they were doing. They weren't necessarily trying to enforce their own immigration policy. They were trying to enforce the immigration policy of the United States that the national level government at that point was refusing to do. In my opinion, that is a much different scenario than what we have going on right now, because now we have a national government that seems to want to start trying to enforce our immigration laws as they stand, and we have states that are bucking against that, which means they're making their own immigration policies. That is an entirely different animal. That is unconstitutional. That is illegal. And for people that like to throw around the word treason all the time, that is actually treasonous, because you are doing something that is in the complete opposite interest of the United States of America. That is, by definition, treason. There's no way to pull punches on it.
Well, yeah, and you know, to listen, you know, we've seen it over and over. This stuff like this shooting and everything else, it happens in sanctuary cities. I mean, I'm not saying that stuff doesn't happen elsewhere. It does. But when are they going to see that it's really not a good idea? I mean, number one, it puts a huge burden on the tax-paying citizens of that city. A huge burden. I mean, because they're basically saying, if you're an immigrant, you just come stay here. Whether you're working, whether you're not working, whatever you're doing, just come stay here. We'll take care of you. That costs a lot of money. That's I mean, that's the first thing. Then the second thing is you don't know who these people are. You don't have records on them, nothing. You know, it's a process to legally come to this country. Whether you're going to come here on a visa or whether you really want to plan on coming here to become a citizen, it is a process. It takes some time. It takes some money. But it is not that hard. I know plenty of people that have done it.
Me too.
It's not that hard. If you really want to come here and be a citizen and do it the right way. It's not that hard.
You know,
it really is not.
Well, the funny thing is we hear about how hard it is, how difficult it is. I actually know I have two different people in my life that have recently taken their naturalization oaths. It's not that hard. It's difficult, but it's supposed to be difficult. That's the point. We are supposed to be, or we were, the shining city on the hill. We didn't just, I mean, no matter what the Statue of Liberty says, we didn't just let everybody come in here that wanted to come in here. If you think it's hard to get in here now, you need to go back and look at history. Because, I mean, that's what, I mean, people talk about Ellis Island like it was this big gateway portal, you know, with golden arches and big doors and, you know, everybody got to come in. Ellis Island was a quarantine zone, for God's sake. That's what it was. That's what its original intention for.
It was a refugee zone. You know, people talk about how bad these refugee camps are and stuff around the world. That's what it was. It was a refugee camp. And the reason for the refugee camp was to make sure you were fit. And I don't mean fit like mentally or fit physically, but to make sure that you weren't, you know, they were trying to, it was a form of vetting. They were trying to figure out why are you here? Are you escaping something, or are you running from something, or are you sick? You know, I mean, it wasn't just a, hey, everybody gets off the boat, come through here, and boom, okay, here's your name, and off you go. That's not how it worked. But they act like that's how it worked. They act like it was just a free-for-all for anybody to come in here, and it wasn't. The vetting was stronger back then than it is now.
Yeah, that was never the intention. I mean, and here's the thing that nobody talks about, and I know you and I have talked about this before, but I want to bring this up again. There's a reason we have these immigration laws in the first place. You know, nobody talks about the reason why we actually have these immigration laws. We have these immigration laws because we as a country figured out that, you know, things didn't actually start out real well when we came over here. We were the visitors over here. We basically came over here. We eventually basically eradicated an entire population of people. And I'm not saying that in the namby-pamby libturd way of saying it, because it was all out war between everybody, and I get it. Because it was nasty, it was dirty. They were capturing people and making the other tribes slaves and everything else. So this whole romanticization that we have of the Wild Wild West is crazy. It's not anything like it's been depicted in the movies. It was even before then with Plymouth Rock and everything else. It's nothing like anything that we were told in the history books. The simple fact of the matter is there came a point where it was basically a battle of wills, and we were the ones that eventually won it. But one of the things that came about when all of this really was done was we started really thinking about the fact, do we want the same thing that just happened, that we've just witnessed and partook? Do we want the same thing to happen to us later? That's part of the reason why these rules and these laws that have came about in the first place. It was to protect not only the indigenous people that were still here, but the country that we were building, because of the fact that we knew that at some point we were going to come under attack. We've known it from day one because this country was born out of war in the first place. This country has always, I mean, that's what founded this country. We decided we'd had enough. We didn't want a king anymore. We didn't want taxation without representation. And we decided that we were going to basically make our own destiny. So that's what this country has always been about. But now we have the same things happening here. We literally talk about the fact that we are taxed to death, to the point where I remember when I was a kid, the Popeye movie with, what was her name? Shelley Winters.
Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall and Robin Williams. I remember everybody in the family laughing hysterically when their crazy little tax collector dude would come by and start rattling off all these little things that they were responsible for paying for. Things like convenience fees and excess usage fees and excess charge fees. All of these things that we laughed at in the 80s are all things that we're paying for now, most of which are regulated by a government that basically incessantly taxes us to death. When's the last time, because now that check stubs are electronic, when's the last time you actually looked at your check stub and saw how much money the government is getting to keep while we have Congress
I
sitting
look at mine every week.
But I know lots of people that don't, because in the field of work that I do day job wise, I talk to people all the time. They're like, I didn't know I wasn't getting paid, because as far as I know, it's supposed to be coming straight out of my check. I don't look at my check stubs. I just assumed it was coming in there. Yeah, no, that's not how that works. That's why you should look at your check stubs. But, people just don't anymore, because now that everything's electronic, it's just out of sight, out of mind. All they know is money goes in, they spend it on whatever they spend it on. They get more 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month later. Because nobody really pays attention to that stuff anymore. Nobody really pays attention to all these crazy fees about every little thing anymore either. The things that we used to laugh at in a movie that are now real life. I mean, it's weird how many times a movie or something will come out and you'll be looking back on it like 15, 20 years later. But that was funny, 30 years ago. It's not really so funny now. But so we're getting right back to where we were at the beginning of the Revolutionary War. We're dealing with taxation without representation. These people have basically made DC their own fiefdom. It's become a bubble. Nobody wants to leave it once they get in it. And I think that, say what you want about Donald Trump. I think he went into DC with the best of intentions. I think he saw himself as the real life Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. And I thought he was really going to be able to go in there and make things better, because he had friends on both sides of the aisle. He had friends in the media. We know this because we see all these people that used to fawn all over him all the time. But now that he's president, everybody hates him. Nobody wants to work with him. So he can't get anything done. I mean, he's literally, he's trying to make taxes so much more simple that people could basically file on a postcard, which sounds really familiar. I'm pretty sure Rubio or somebody came up with that idea first, just saying. But,
that would be Ted Cruz.
Yeah, I figured it. Well, I was trying to throw you a bone because I knew you were originally a Rubio guy. But anyway, so, on that note, we should probably stop talking for a second because I think we're kind of long. Yeah, we got to take a break. All right, so got to do some stuff to pay some bills at least every once in a while. We'll be back in about 3 minutes. Since we ran long on the segment, I'm not going to play a very long break. But we do have to at least play something. Besides, it gives me a second to sip on some water so I don't keep feeling like I'm going to die. So we will be right back here in about 3 minutes. Stay tuned.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm. But even then, he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
All right, folks, welcome back. We were so busy talking, we almost didn't take the commercial break, but we got that out of the way now, so now we've got a few minutes to talk some more. So yeah, we've been kind of all over the place today. We've mainly been talking about the Steinle case, which was an actual affront to anything to do with American civil liberties. Which is another question for me. Where the hell is the ACLU on this? Have they become the sanctuary city LCU?
If you really think about the direction they typically go in and the direction they typically lean, I would say yes. I mean, but you would think an organization called the American Civil Liberties Union would be in the Steinle's corner.
Well, I mean, yeah,
I would think.
Well, there's a reason I brought that up. It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing. I honestly really think they should just put an I in front of the first A, and it should no longer be the American Civil Liberties Union, but the Illegal Alien Civil Liberties Union. Just saying.
Yeah, it's a joke. I mean, ACLU is a joke. It's been a joke for a long time.
But yeah, I mean, it's lots of things are jokes right now.
But this whole thing, and it really, we really didn't get off topic because everything kind of melds together here. Is where are you bring up the American Civil Liberties Union? Where are our civil liberties going? Where are they going?
They're not going. They're not technically just
literally. If you are an illegal alien, you essentially have more rights than a citizen right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
They have a right to health care. They don't have to pay for it. These sanctuary cities are giving them health care, welfare, housing. Just come here and just get everything for free. Here you go. Come on in. Don't worry, all the hardworking people here will pay for you. Just come on in. And I'm not going to sit here and say that there aren't hardworking illegal immigrants. There are. I know there are. I mean, a good chunk of my job is working in construction. And, whether they're illegal immigrants or just immigrants or whatever, a lot of hardworking people out there. There really are. But it's human nature. If somebody is told, hey, if you just go to Houston or San Francisco, I mean, really, you don't have to worry about finding a job right away. Just go there. They'll feed you. You'll have health care. They'll find you a place to live. Just go there.
So, Ron in the chat had an interesting point, and I'm going to kind of rephrase it just a little bit. He basically is saying that it should be called the, the ACCLU, the Anti-Caucasian Civil Liberties Union.
Yeah. Very good, Ron. Very good.
Or is he actually putting the American non-Caucasian?
You and I both. This whole thing, this whole verdict, one little verdict, it concretes for me the direction, at least, that very progressive cities like San Francisco are going. And they're going in the direction that it's not America first. It's the rest of the world first. I mean, what these cities are letting happen is it's mind-boggling to me. It's mind-boggling to me that anybody running one of these cities, a mayor, city council, all of them, can think any of this is a good idea. It boggles my mind. And then to have people, when I say something like I just said, to have people, call me a bigot and call me this and, you don't care about human life and everything else. No, I do. I care about human life, but I care about my children's lives above anybody else's. I care about my friends' lives. I care about my family's lives. I care about my coworkers' lives. Why do I have to care about somebody that wants to come here illegally over my loved ones? Why is that? Why am I being told that that's the American way? Because it's not. It's not the American way.
No,
the American way is you come here and you do it right. That's the American way.
I mean, and I don't even mind if we start debating what the right way is, to be honest, because technology has changed enough that I think we could streamline some of the stuff that we're dealing with right now when it comes to immigration. And I'm not even necessarily saying that maybe it's not too expensive. Maybe there are some things that we need to look at to see about making those changes. But before we can do that, it's no different than doing a surgery. When you go in to fix something, the first thing you've got to do is because when you cut somebody open, usually if you're going in to do a surgery, it's usually to remove something or repair tissue. In this instance, we have, if we view the country as a body, then we have open wounds on our borders. So we're actively bleeding because everything's porous. So we've got things coming in, things going out. We don't even know what's going on. So the first thing you've got to do in a surgery situation is you got to stop the bleeding. That's the first thing you always have to do if you're dealing with a serious bodily trauma. If there's bleeding or there's damage that's got gaping holes, those are the first things you've got to fix. So yes, we can really start talking and thinking about what we need to do as a country about immigration reform, but we can't do that till we fix what's currently broken, because our system isn't working. Our system isn't working not because it's broken, but because nobody wants to enforce it. We can talk about ways to make it better, but the system has worked for hundreds of years. Why is it suddenly now so broken? Because nobody wants to enforce it anymore, because the rules don't apply, because everything's relative. I mean, everything that we're witnessing in this country right now is all coming from the same place. Everything's relative. Nothing matters. The only thing that matters is how you feel. That's all anybody cares about anymore. I don't care what side of the aisle they're on anymore. For the most part, that is a true statement. I don't care what letter they have beside their name right now. Even a lot of us that are trying to do the right thing, most of the time we spend so much time being angry that all we're doing is yelling about how bad things are. I mean, I'm doing it right now, but it's all I know how to do because nobody's listening, nobody cares, nobody's doing anything to try to make anything better. because we can't talk about anything anymore because nobody's willing to do the hard things. Yes, we may have an immigration problem in this country, but we also have a very severe border problem in this country, and I am not an open borders fan. A country cannot exist without borders. If we're going to get rid of our borders, we might as well just cave in, become part of the one world government, and be done with it. I'm not ready to do that because I don't trust anyone else with my civil liberties but me. My Constitution affords me the ability to determine how I want to live my life, where I want to live my life, what I want to do with my life, and it affords me the freedom to make those choices. It doesn't guarantee me that I'm always going to succeed. It doesn't guarantee that I would have an equal outcome. But it does guarantee that I have the ability to try to pursue my dreams, whatever they may be. And that's why the Constitution matters. That's why it's not a birdcage liner. That's why it's not an old stale piece of paper. It is founding principle for this country. And the further and further we get away from that, the further and further we get away from everything else, and the easier it's going to be for them to continue to tear this country apart. And I, for one, will not stand for it anymore. Now, the next thing I have is a question, and I'm not asking this question as a spark or incitement or anything else, but I have a serious question right now because we've seen what happens with unjust verdicts on the left. Where's Steinle's riot?
There isn't one.
Why not?
Because why would there be a riot? I mean, honestly, why would people want to go out and tear up their own neighborhood and destroy their own property?
I don't know. I mean, seems to work for the left. They get like news for days.
Does it work? Does it work?
I don't know. They had an entire president on their side for 8 years.
Does it just piss everybody else off?
I don't know. I mean, they had an entire administration on their side for 8 years. They had people marching in the street calling for the death of cops. That seems to be a cool thing to do now. I mean, I'm not actually saying that we should do these things, but my question is, so we know that the way they do things is wrong, but the left is at least getting legitimately angry about things, or at least things that they feel are legitimate. So even if they're angry and they're doing the wrong things, at least they're getting angry. We just go, yeah, who cares if, California's thumbing their nose at the Constitution? Who cares if we've got hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants coming into the country every year? I mean, yeah, I know, don't start throwing the numbers at me because I know that since Trump took office, illegal immigration is down substantially, but it doesn't change the fact that before that, we still don't even really know for sure the actual number of people that are still here that shouldn't be here legally. So when are we actually going to stand up and start trying to do something about that? And I'm not talking about rioting, but we as a group, as far as conservatives, we are some of the better people as far as organizing things, getting people's attention, making things be done the right way. So when are we actually going to do something to call attention to the things that we're the most pissed off about? That's where I feel like the Tea Party fell apart, because the Tea Party was a galvanizing grassroots movement, and it brought people together from all walks of life. I mean, up until the Tea Party hit the scene, Claude, who you were talking about earlier, who does a show with me on Thursday nights, he's doing the whole thing like you used to do on Fridays before this became a show of its own. He was a liberal. Him and his wife both were pretty much liberals. And then Tea Party started coming on the scene, and all of a sudden he started hearing all the media hype about, Tea Party's a bunch of racists, bunch of rednecks, blah, blah, blah. So he's like, you know what, maybe we should go check these people out, see if it's as bad as the media says it is. By the time he went to a few meetings, he realized that the media had them completely wrong, to the point where he actually founded a Tea Party chapter in his own hometown. And he's pretty much been a more of a libertarian conservative ever since. Because on social issues, he's pretty still, liberal about that stuff, which I don't care, honestly. Because that's another thing that drives me crazy about this country. We used to have, and Reagan used to say this, somebody who aligns with you 80% of the time is not 20% your enemy. They're 80% your ally. We've lost that somewhere.
No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. And I mean, you and I agree on, we're pretty close, but I mean, we don't necessarily agree on everything. I mean, I consider myself, I wouldn't say a social liberal. I'm a social moderate. That's why I kind of lean towards the Libertarian Party, but they went a little too liberal for me, so I'm not there. You know, I don't try to classify myself, and I know here, at least here, the last couple years that we've known each other, you kind of go on the same route. You really don't classify yourself as, I mean, maybe conservative, and I guess I classify myself as a conservative, but you know, we don't. I mean, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Libertarian. What am I?
Man, Ron's on fire tonight. In response to "Where's the riot?" Rational people don't riot when they're disappointed. Ergo, the snowflakes are irrational. Ron is bringing the A game to the chat tonight, folks. If you're not in the chat room, you're missing it. Just saying. All right, so wow, we're almost out of time.
I just, you know, but like I was saying, I mean, what am I? You know, I mean, I consider myself, if I consider myself anything, I consider myself a constitutionalist. But you know, the Constitution isn't all conservative either.
No, it's not.
And I don't even agree. I don't even necessarily agree or love everything in the Constitution, but I think the Constitution works, you know, and even the stuff that I'm not, you know, super gung-ho about in the Constitution, I do believe that it needs to be abided by and enforced. If you know what I mean. I mean, it's not, like I said, you can't agree 100% with everything. You know, you and I, and I think you're still maybe a little involved. And I mean, I was involved from the beginning with a group called the Federalist Coalition, and I was involved with, and you were involved with, you know, a lot of the not exactly what the group was going to stand for, you know, putting together its own little, it was putting together its own little constitution, which was based on the Constitution and the Federalist Papers and everything else. And we didn't all agree on everything, and that's the way we wanted it. You know, we had a board, and we didn't want a bunch of people on the board that all agreed on everything. We wanted to be able to talk with each other about it and vote on things and agree or disagree and give reasons why we disagreed, but still agree that, okay, that's going to go into our little thing. And I really enjoyed it. You know, I'm not involved with it right now, and it's mostly because of time. You know, I stepped back, but I still talk to these people, and I still get emails. You know, I'm still included in the email chain and everything else. And what I liked about it is that it was a group of people that it wasn't groupthink. It wasn't, we all agree on this 100%. It was debating on stuff and, you know, why we should have this or why we shouldn't, or why I think maybe we should, even if maybe I don't totally agree with it. I understand why it needs to be there. And it was a lot of bouncing stuff like that off of each other. And I found it fun. You know, I found it interesting. And that's the way it was supposed to be. And that's the way the Constitution was written. I mean, when the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and everything was put together, it wasn't a whole bunch of people totally agreeing on everything. You know, it's not like they sat down at a table one day and said, yes, we should have this. Yes, we should do this. And this is what we should do here. And this is what we should do here. It wasn't just thrown together. You know, and it's what people need to understand. Like I said, I consider myself a constitutionalist. Do I love everything in the Constitution? No. Do I agree it should be there? Yes, because it's there. And it should be abided by because it is what it is. And it's what this country is based on. And, you know, I just, you know, listening to people say, well, we need to repeal the Second Amendment. Well, no. just because you don't agree with it. No. It's part of what made this country. I mean, honestly, you really can't have the First Amendment without the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is the First Amendment. So even if you don't agree with the Second Amendment, you got to realize why it's there. And it's there for a reason. And
it ain't there for hunting.
This country, right? But this country's gotten to the point where it's, I'm right, you're wrong. And I personally love debate. And I know you've seen my brother and I go back and forth. My brother he's a moderate progressive, but we go back and forth on stuff, and we enjoy it for the most part. We've had a couple times where it gets heated, but that's going to happen between two people that love each other and disagree with each other. But for the most part, we've for a long time on social media, especially Twitter, we avoided each other. Now we follow each other, and we'll get into debates, and I like it because he's a progressive I can debate with. It doesn't become name-calling and everything else, and it could, because we're brothers. We've called each other plenty of names over the years. But we can sit down or sit there, and we can go back and forth, and I'm not going to say that sometimes he doesn't say something that I'm just like, oh, I want to punch a wall. And it's the same thing with him with me. But we tone that down, and we can go back and forth. And I've had friends watch the two of us go back and forth and sit there and DM me and go, this is fun to watch. This is really fun, and it's enlightening. Because it's two people that disagree on something that can actually sit down and talk about it, which we've gotten away from.
Yeah,
and it's what I loved about Twitter when I first got on it, is I got into a lot of that. I got into a lot of talking to people. And somehow it's gotten to the point where the divide in this country has become so massive that even I've almost been arguing with somebody that we're actually almost really agreeing on something, and I'm still being called an a-hole or whatever. And I'm like, I'm agreeing with you, because it gets that heated.
Well, just because you're agreeing with someone doesn't necessarily mean you're not an a-hole. Just playing.
Well,
all right.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, why can't we talk anymore? That's my whole thing. Why can't we talk anymore?
Well, honestly, I think part of it, because here's the thing, and I was actually talking about this with Claude. I can't remember if this was during the show or after the show. But, if you remember in the 80s when Reagan was president, mid-late 80s, he actually joked about how, from 8 to 5, him and Tip O'Neill would go tooth and nail with each other, but at the end of the day, they could set it aside and go have a beer. We don't have the ability to do that anymore. And I think part of it is because we have ideologues that have made their way into media as pundits. And please understand what I'm about to say, because I know most of you are Glenn Beck fans. Hell, I'm a Glenn Beck fan. But one of the things that I thought was completely weird was when he started talking about the reason why he started the Blaze. Because he had been at CNN and he had been at Fox. But when he really started explaining to people why he was going out on his own, it was because he couldn't stomach the fact that when these people were on camera, they would basically go at each other and they would have debates and they would get in these huge arguments. But when the lights were off and the cameras were done, they were best friends. They went out to go have beers. That's how this stuff is supposed to work, whether we like it or not. Whether it's for entertainment, whether it's for ratings, whatever the case may be, we're supposed to be able to have a spirited debate, let everybody get their points out, talk about what the people want to talk about, and then be able to move on. But now that we have all of these ideologues that have picked up microphones and have been given sponsorships and have millions of listeners and millions of viewers, and when they weren't able to do a traditional route, they went the way of Glenn Beck and basically started their own media empire. Which I get that. I understand it. That's part of what I'm trying to do. But not to the point where I basically have become a sycophant, to the point where I don't think that everybody has the right to be heard. Look, I think Crazy Uncle Speedo deserves to be heard. I don't agree with a damn thing that comes out of his mouth, but I think he has the right to be heard. I don't agree with anything Hillary Clinton ever says, but that doesn't mean I ever want her to be shut up. I don't agree with half the things that Milo says, probably more than half. but I don't think he should ever be shut up. That's what we're getting away from in this country. We only want to hear from the people that we agree with. Everybody else is the enemy. Everybody else needs to be destroyed. And that's because we have people that have gotten themselves into positions of influence that are nothing but political ideologues. And I'm not trying to bash Beck, Rush Limbaugh, or any of them, but the simple fact of the matter is that's when the divide really started. And I know that's an odd thing to say as a guy that's sitting behind a microphone trying to duplicate what they've done and eventually hope to get to the point where I'm doing this as a living. But if I ever do that, I hope I do it as somebody who realizes that we need to have every side of an argument, and we need to have a discussion. Not a shouting match, not a you suck because you have a D behind your name, or you suck because you have or you're great because you have an R behind your name, but an actual honest to good discussion across every political ideology about how we're going to make this country work, because this country doesn't work anymore. It is no more evident than it is in my own state, because the divide and the gridlock in D.C. has come to Oklahoma. We are broke. We have a $500 million deficit that we're facing at the beginning of the state legislature, which starts in 68 days. They couldn't reconcile the budget. So as of right now, we violated our own constitution because we do not have a balanced budget. We are required by Oklahoma Constitution to have a balanced budget at the close of our legislative session, and we couldn't do it. They've already done one special session. The governor didn't like the results of that one, so she's now calling a second special session, and we're 68 days from the beginning of the actual session. This has never happened in the history of my state, and it's because back in the 80s when the oil crashed, everybody went tax crazy, and the Senate went nuts, and the House went nuts in Oklahoma, and they started passing every tax imaginable. So in the 90s, they passed a state proposition that made it to the point where in order to pass a revenue-raising measure in the state of Oklahoma, you have to have 75% of the votes in the House and 75% of the votes in the Senate. The House is comprised of 100 to 102 seats, depending on if all of them are vacant. So in order for that to work, you have to get to 76 votes. If you ask a state legislature in the state of Oklahoma what color the sky is, you're not going to be able to get 76 of them to agree that it's blue. But we have to have a supermajority to raise taxes. So our country, our state is broken because we have the same political divide now in state politics as we do in national politics, which it's an election year, so I can't work with the Democrats, so who the hell cares? Or it's an election year, so if I work with the Republicans, I'm not going to get reelected, so who the hell cares? That's the problem. Nobody wants to work together anymore. We have everybody give lip service to the idea of working together. Hell, Barack Obama was a master at it. He had me believing in 2008 when he gave his victory speech that he was going to do exactly what he said. And no matter how much I didn't want him to be president, I heard him speak. And never once did I say he's not my president. I said I wish he wasn't my president, but I never once said that he's not my president. But I heard him speak on the night that we knew that he won the election, and I heard him say that he was going to reach across the aisle like nobody had ever done before him. And when he said that, with my whole heart, I wanted to believe it. Because that's what we need in this country. We need people that are willing to work together, get their hands dirty, and fix what's broken. I don't care who it is. But I mean, I've even seen people that I love, that I know, that I've met in person, that I consider, radio family, that have made negative comments when Trump was sitting down with Pelosi and Schumer. I'm like, who the hell else is he supposed to sit down with? Nobody else wants to work with him. If he's honestly trying to get something done, he's got to find somebody that's willing to work with him. I want things fixed. I don't care what the letter behind the name of the person is that's fixing it is. I just want stuff fixed. That used to be what this country was about. Now it's about we gotta hold the line until the power shifts. As a prime example, and then we really should probably consider whether we're going to keep going. We now have in 2017, almost 2018, the roles have been reversed. Now the Democrats are playing the roles of the Republicans in response to Obamacare, and the Republicans are playing the roles of the Democrats in response to tax reform. Because now the Republicans are like, well, it was okay for you to tell us that we had to pass it before we could see what's in it, so why are you worried about whether or not we're going to get to read the bill or not? And they're like, well, we don't even know what's in it. And they're like, you made this bed, you lie in it. And now they're all like, and now the Republicans are wanting us to sign this bill before we even know what's in it. And I'm like, you guys have basically just swapped places. You're both saying the same things that you said before, but your roles are reversed.
We have a government of whataboutisms. That's what it is. It's all whataboutisms. Well, what about when you did this? That's all it is. I mean, I look at this tax bill, and I think it's good. It's better than anything we've seen in a long time.
Is it perfect?
To listen to Trump say it's the greatest thing ever. No, it's not. It's a good tax bill. It's not great. It's good. I mean, I'm happy with it. I'd like to see it pass. Is it great? No, it's not great. It's not what I want. I mean, you brought up the Ted Cruz thing of, us being able to just do our taxes on a postcard. It's not quite that. I mean, I want to see what I want to see passed is I want a flat tax, and I don't want any pork attached to the bill. I just want a straight tax bill. A flat tax. It's really not that hard. I mean, economically, how hard is it to understand that a flat tax is all we need? So that I know what I'm paying, you know what you're paying, everybody's paying the same. Yes, I mean, they really are. I mean, if you make $20,000 a year, obviously you're paying less money-wise, but you're paying the same percentage. Everybody just pays the same percentage across the board, and everybody pays taxes. Do you listen to the Democrats? They sit there and say that this is going to kill everybody that makes less than $30,000 a year. Well, it doesn't kill them. It's not doing anything to them. It's just taking away them getting more money back than they paid in.
Yeah,
it's fair to me. I mean, if you're not paying any taxes and you're getting a $5,000 tax refund, and I'm paying, federally 15-20%, and then still owing at the end of the year, how is that fair? How is it fair that you're paying nothing, but then you take the child tax credit on your 5 kids, and you get $5,000 back, but you didn't pay any taxes? How's that fair?
Well, it's not.
It goes about making things fair. If you don't pay anything in, you don't get anything back. Imagine that.
Well, I mean, and I'm for the same thing that you are. But again, the other thing that I've been talking about for the last several weeks, pretty much anytime I can bring it up, is we've gotten to the point now, and I'm going to steal some of Ron's thunder again because this will kind of tie into what I'm talking about right now. But he pointed out earlier when you were talking about, the fact that nobody wants to talk anymore, it's not really about talking to fix anything anymore. It's all about #winning. So I jokingly asked him if he was blaming Charlie Sheen, and he said pretty much. But since everything now, whether it's discussion or passing a bill, is all about #winning, then the problem that we have is everybody wants to swing for the home run. Everybody wants to throw the touchdown. They're not willing to get to first base. They're not willing to get a first down. That's where we as conservatives fall apart, because we've had a liberal agenda basically moving by inches for over 100 years now. But we're not willing to do the same thing in reverse because we want everything fixed, and we want everything fixed all at once. That's a problem. This tax bill, while it's not perfect, is a step in the right direction. It simplifies a lot of things. It lowers some tax brackets. It makes things a little bit easier for the average American family. And unless you believe the crap from the Democrats, which I'm not sure why you would be listening to the show and do that, then you would understand that for pretty much everybody, it's going to be a tax cut. The reason the Democrats are having a cow is because one of the things that this tax bill is going to do is undercut a lot of the subsidies that people are getting back from the federal government to offset the exorbitant tax rates in places like New Jersey, California, and New York, which is predominantly run by Democrats. So they're afraid that, we're back to, people really don't pay attention to what's on their check stub. They don't really pay attention to how much taxes they're paying either, especially when the government's giving them some of that money back every year. So if that stops, they're really going to start taking a hard look at how much is coming out of their checks that's going towards the state that they're not going to be getting back anymore. That's what the Democrats are afraid of. So, but, and we talked about this, I talked about this a little bit with Claude last night. There are several different variants of this quote, but one of my favorite ones is we need to stop letting perfect be the enemy of good. Because this is not a great bill, despite what Donald Trump says. He seems to think anything that he puts his stamp on is going to be great. If you believe that, I want to remind you that he once was trying to sell vodka and steak. Didn't work out so well. But it is a good bill, because it does a lot of things that we need to have happen in the economy right now. It will help spur his... he's the first president that I can remember in my lifetime that has brought business back to this country. I don't remember the last time a president did that. I could be wrong, because, I honestly really didn't start paying attention to politics, to be completely honest, until I was much, much older, other than, Reagan becoming a hero of mine after I witnessed him being shot on TV in second grade. That was the extent of my political involvement until the 90s, because I was a kid. I didn't care. But I don't remember a time that a president was able to sit on national TV and say, this company is bringing their corporate headquarters back to America. That's the first time in my lifetime I remember hearing that happen. That is important. No less important, and this is one of the things that drives me crazy about Trump, no less important than him being the first president to recognize the role of the code talkers in the Oval Office. But then he turned it into a talking point by bashing Pocahontas. He's the first president to ever do that, and if he would have left his ego at the door, they would have still been talking about it for days, because it was a great move for him, because everyone thinks that he's a racist, and it would have shut everybody up about he only cares about white people. Really? Then why is he recognizing the code talkers? But then he had to let his ego get in the way, and he had to take advantage of a press opportunity, and nobody was talking about the fact that no other president in history has had the code talkers to the Oval Office and recognized their role and what they did in that particular World War. Nobody's talking about that anymore, because not only did he bash who I lovingly call Pocahontas, not really lovingly, but he actually used the real name, Pocahontas, instead, which irritated a lot of people and made the media really, really angry. Should they have been as mad about it as they were? No, but it's another point where Trump could not get out of his own way. He could have won hearts and minds that day, and instead he turned even more against him. And I know a lot of you are, it doesn't matter what he does or what he says, everybody's always going to hate him. He can impact hearts and minds one at a time if he'll stop getting in his own way.
No, you are absolutely right. And like I said, when I touched on the tax bill, I like it. I do. You're right. But
hang on one second, and then I'll let you have the mic back. In deference to all of the sexual harassment scandals, we're going to put a moratorium on the phrase "touched on." Just saying.
Okay. But
sorry, I had to.
You kind of made my point. I think it's a good bill, but I don't want to hear him talk about how great it is. Because it's not great. It's a good bill. I'm happy with it. I want it to pass. I want it to go through. I think it's a good bill, but he does a lot of, Obama was very good at patting himself on the back too. Not patting yourself on the back all the time, and just, like you said, just keep your mouth shut every once in a while. Stay off Twitter every once in a while. He's not doing, considering the opposition he has. I've been pleasantly surprised. I was really worried when he won. And I wasn't worried because, I wasn't a Trump fan at all. Haven't been the whole time. That. During the primaries, boy, did I rally against him being nominated. But I'm pleasantly surprised at an awful lot of stuff. He's got to just I don't know. Sometimes you just got to zip his lip and stop talking.
Zip your lip, drop the phone, and go to the residence, sir. Just go to bed.
Yes, exactly.
Just go to bed. You're 70-something years old. It's time you start sleeping at some point, sir. Because, that's the other thing that, and honestly, I'm a little jealous because, I've been getting to know some folks at KOKC. Well, Chad Alexander, one of the guys that I tweet back and forth with all the time, who I'm still trying to convince that I should be allowed to fill in for occasionally. Because, I'm supposed to be a fill-in over there and yet haven't been called to fill in. I'm a little sad about that. But anyway, I'm a little jealous because he announced on his show that next week he'll be phoning in because he'll be in D.C. at one of the, 45 White House Christmas parties. And I'm like, you got an invite to the White House Christmas party? He's like, well, yeah, but my wife was part of the campaign. I'm like, you suck. You suck. Yeah, I had no idea because, back in the day when I first figured out what channel he was on, I have to admit I kind of guiltily switched back and forth between that one and the other station that Doyle was originally on because they would go to breaks at different times. So I'd listen to Doyle till he went to break, then I'd change over. I'd listen to Chad for a few minutes till he went to break, then I'd change back over again. I was joking around with him the other day. I was like, I feel kind of bad because when I first really got to figure out where you were, I was kind of switching back and forth between the two stations because I liked both of you. And you each had different perspectives, and one of you was a little bit more high energy, and the other one was more factual. And now you're both in the same place at the same time, so I don't have to worry about changing the channel anymore. But yeah, so anyway. Enough plugging about KOKC, but yeah, I was a little jealous because, I didn't realize, because we were joking about it because I was talking about, how I had tried to eat a MAGA hat because he got elected. And he's like, well, I knew he was going to win because my wife was part of the campaign. So we'd been projecting at least that he was going to win here for weeks, and then we started looking at all the numbers that were coming in, and he's like, yeah, he's going to win. And he'd been saying it for weeks, and I was joking around with him because I was like, dude, you had me yelling at the radio for 3 weeks because I kept telling you were wrong, and you weren't, and it made me sad.
Yeah, but that would be awesome to go to the White House Christmas party. And it would be awesome with any president. I think I've told you the story. My son, when Bill Clinton was in office, my son was in Children's Hospital for a couple weeks, having tests done. Luckily, he didn't. They thought he had cystic fibrosis, so he was having tests for that. And it was over Christmas. And Hillary Clinton came into Children's Hospital to read stories to the children. And my son was picked to sit right next to Hillary Clinton and have stories read. And I didn't like the Clintons. I didn't really like Hillary, but I thought it was cool. My son's sitting next to the First Lady having stories read to him. That's cool. It was just, those kind of experiences. I don't care who's in the White House. If I have a chance to meet the president or meet the First Lady, I'm going to take that chance. That's
honestly, if given the opportunity, I would have met.
Looking at
met Obama.
These sports teams and stuff that win a championship. Nope, we're not going to the White House. Even just to play or certain players. Nope, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go meet Trump. Why not? It's the president of the United States. Whether you agree with him or not, it's a chance to go meet. It just boggles my mind. Anybody that wouldn't take the chance to meet the president of the United States.
If given the opportunity, I would have met Obama. I would have gone to a White House Christmas party.
Absolutely.
If I was influential enough to be invited. But Ron has a pretty good point. When we were mentioning that the president should just go to the residence, occasionally shut his mouth, put down his phone. He's like, yeah, he should really just cuddle with Melania and move on. He has another good point. Ron really is on fire tonight.
Yes, he is.
I think he's missed us as much as we've missed him because he's just coming up with one-liner after one-liner after one-liner. All right, so we're officially at about the 90-minute mark. Are we going to keep going or are we going to kill this thing?
We should probably kill it because I've been on this crazy work schedule and I need to get some sleep.
Well, that's kind of what I was figuring, but, every time I start thinking it's about time to wind down again, one of us goes on another tear. So I just wanted to double check. At this point, folks, this has been the extended edition of the Robinson and Wright Show, because it's been a while since we've done a show together, so we had a lot of stuff to say. Everything should be back to normal, at least for next week, regardless. And whatever happens, next week's the last game, so one way or the other, hopefully I can announce the following Friday that the Washington Warriors are Oklahoma 2A state champs, but not trying to jinx it for them. But
good luck to them.
First things first, we have to get
to them. I hope it happens.
First things first, we have to get through the semifinals, which are tomorrow at 7:30. So it's going to be a really interesting thing because they're doing like this big send off before, and then we're supposed to meet up at the field house after, and then me and the boys have to be at the church at 8:30 in the morning to help with production, and I'm just like, maybe.
Yes, and I think I did just get an opinion from the bathtub in the bathroom here next to me of something along the lines of, yes, we need to go to bed.
Nice. All right. Well, on that note, folks, we are officially out, so we are going to make our way to start winding things down here. Actually, just for fun, I'm going to play the intro again on the way out, because I haven't come up with a bumper that I want to use for this yet for an outro, so we're just going to play the bumper again. It has been my pleasure to be back with you guys on Friday night right here on Robinson and Wright. We'll do this thing again next week, if God willing and the creek doesn't rise. But on that note, folks, have a great night. Enjoy the beginning and the rest of your weekend, and I will see you when I see you. And we'll be back live Monday night on America Off the Rails, and then Tuesdays, Thursdays, Jen and Rick along with America Off the Rails, and then right back here Friday night all over again. I know, I'm a workaholic. My name's Rick. It's been never since my last meeting. We're out!
Oh, let me tell you something. I am so sick of Washington and all its whites and all them politicians down there and them congressmen. I'll bet you won't find none of them congressmen signing down their electric blankets tonight. Which if they did, their secretaries would get up and go home.
We gotta do something. Absolutely. You know what we gotta do? Toga party.
Toga! 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 Toga!
Click, click, boom! I'm coming down on the stereo, put me on the radio. Click, click, boom!
I want you to kill every golfer on the course.
Check me if I'm wrong, Sandy, but if I kill all the golfers, they're gonna lock me up and throw away the key.